Come here. Come here. Come here. Good girl. My favorite holiday is definitely Halloween. I love trick-or-treating and the excitement of dressing up and wearing wigs and wearing costumes and putting in crazy eye contacts. My office where I work every year has a Halloween competition. There's a costume competition, so I really go all out for that and I try and dress up different every year. Okay, I'm gonna try and do this real quick. Okay, my favorite thing is to decorate for Halloween. At work, we have a decorating competition, and last year, my team picked Universal movie monsters as our theme. Of course, we had the Mummy and Dracula and Frankenstein, but I chose Creature from the Black Lagoon as my area. So I built a torso basically out of cardboard and trash, and had it coming out of a swamp. I loved how it turned out, and we ended up winning the competition last year. We were all very excited, but the decorations eventually had to come down, and I didn't have storage to keep him, and I thought I was gonna have to throw away my creature that I worked so hard to build. But a comic book shop showed some interest in him, so we took him up there and they bought him, and now he's displayed in their front window. So this year I'm going to celebrate at home because of COVID, and I'm going to make a pumpkin pasta. So we'll make a pumpkin sauce and put it on these cute little pumpkin pasta shells. I'm really sad that I don't get to do my traditional Halloween celebrations, but this year I get to celebrate with you guys. There is nothing more iconic to Halloween and the fall season than a pumpkin. That's why on today's episode of Chubby Munchies, we're going to be making a pumpkin pasta with pumpkin sauce. Let's get started. For this recipe, you will need 14 ounces of pumpkin pasta, half of a baking pumpkin, heavy whipping cream, minced garlic, 1½ tomatoes, lemon juice, half an onion, a medium-sized carrot, basil, salt, 1 cup walnuts, garlic powder, honey, butter, 1 cup shredded Parmesan, 3 sprigs of parsley, 1 sage leaf, and 1 sprig of rosemary. You'll want to do is preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Now it's time to prepare our vegetables for roasting. As you can see, I've already cut the pumpkin in half. We're only going to need half of a pumpkin. Now we'll scoop out the seeds and put them in our bowl here. Set the pumpkin seeds aside. You can roast them later for a snack. Now that all the seeds and the membrane has been removed, we're going to remove our stem. Get a small pan, place it face down. Now set a timer for about 50 minutes. Peel your carrot. Trim the ends of your carrot and cut it into large chunks. Just like that. Add the carrots to a pan of water and set it on high. We're going to boil this until the carrots are tender. And we're going to core our other tomato. Quarter your tomato. Peel your outer layer. Set it aside and just make a few cuts. So we're about to blend it. Go ahead and add a tablespoon of minced garlic. Shh, hush, baby.
Fuji.
So this little guy is what our pasta shells look like. It just looks like a little mini pumpkin.
Cute little baby pumpkin pasta found in a Trader Joe's. 1,000 carbs in every bite. That's right.
Now we're going to pour our tomato and onion puree into a small saucepan. Take a pot of water and set it on high. And once that starts boiling, we can cook our pasta. Let's go ahead and prepare our herbs. Cut off the stems of your parsley and just kind of mince it and set it aside. And just cut your sage into large chunks and remove the rosemary from its stem. Go ahead and cut up your rosemary a little bit. Separate your rosemary into 2 halves. Half will go with your other herbs, and this half will go to roasting our seeds and our walnuts. I've tested our carrots and they're nice and tender, which means they're ready to be put into the blender. But first we need to let them cool down before we try and blend them. Just take about a tablespoon of the water and add it to the blender. Our pasta water is boiling now, so we can add our pasta. And just cook that until it's tender. Our carrots have cooled down, so now we can blend them. And they'll look like this. To roast your walnuts, you're going to start with 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and the half a sprig of rosemary we chopped up and set aside. Give it a good stir. Spread your walnuts around on a pan lined with parchment paper. Plop your mixture on there and spread it around. Now we're going to pop these bad boys into the oven. Move the pumpkin aside, and we'll just toast those for about 10 minutes. Our pasta is now nice and tender, so we just need to drain it and set it aside until the sauce is ready. Our pumpkin is finally done roasting, so we're going to take it out of the oven, and that's what it looks like.
Too long in the oven, burned a spot on your pumpkin skin. So your tanned is hide, yet he's perfect inside.
Take that part of the skin off. Our walnuts just finished toasting, so let's go ahead and pull those out and set them aside. They smell nice and fragrant. These in the chunks to make it easier to blend. Take your chunks and add them to the blender. Add a 1/3 cup of water, and now we're going to add our herbs. Add about half a teaspoon of basil. Pulse it a couple of times at first. So it's not exactly pureed yet, but we're going to take these large chunks and add them to our tomato puree. Our sauce is really thick and chunky, so we're going to add half of it to the blender. And this is where we're going to get it nice and pureed. Go ahead and add the rest of the sauce to your blender and blend well. And that's the consistency that my sauce came out to. Pretty nicely pureed. We're going to add it back to our saucepan and let it get nice and warm all the way through before you add your other ingredients. Go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of butter and let that melt down. 2 teaspoons of our honey bear. Give it some sweetness. 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. We're gonna take half a lemon and just give it a hit of citrus. Now the last thing we're gonna add to our sauce is a teaspoon of salt. And give it a taste test before you add it to your pasta shells. I think it's ready. Fold in our walnuts for some crunch. Now top it off with half a cup grated Parmesan. And have extra grated Parmesan to serve on the side. Now that our wicked cauldron is nice and full of pumpkin pasta, we're gonna add just a little bit of Parmesan to the top. And here you have your wicked walnut pumpkin pasta. Happy Halloween, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want some candy? Well, you can't have any!
In every bite, you've got to get a little bit of pasta, walnut, and Parmesan. That's the perfect bite.
Bet you never thought you'd eat some walnuts in your pasta. Bet you never thought you'd eat a pumpkin pasta sauce. Bet you never thought you'd eat your pasta from a chalice. Whoa, ho, ho.
But you can, and you should, and you shall.
Or else.
Getting to decorate jack-o'-lanterns and pump. My favorite competition at work is my favorite thing, either TV show or all the teams in the offices. This year, I'm gonna celebrate Halloween with you guys. We had to take down the. That's why on today's, we're only gonna need. While we're waiting on our carrots to get tender, let's go ahead and. I had a mental breakdown.